Welcome back to Video Production on a Budget for Churches. This lesson is all about finding your location and building out your set. The purpose of this lesson is to understand the importance of location and set design in church video production. And by the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify suitable locations for filming and design sets that complement your church's message. So, let's start it off. Finding the right location. When it comes to finding a location, you need to consider a couple of different things. You need to consider the type of video you're going to be producing and what kind of environment it requires. Once you figure that out, that's when you think about in your script about the locations that you want. That happens at the very start when you catch the vision with church leadership and you're brainstorming. That's where you figure out what type of environment you need. From there, you're going to be finding your location. If you're going to be creating content that is like this, I'm sitting in front of a camera, talking straight to camera, you would be considering something that is in a church office or a church apartment or a Sunday school room or any of that. It needs to be quiet. Consider the size, the amount of light pollution, and noise interruptions. So again, quiet, no light pollution. If there is, you can also block that light off. On the walls that I'm in right now, for acoustic treatment to kind of get rid of some of the clapback or reverb, we've decided to put up moving blankets on the walls. It's cheap and it's effective. It definitely works. There was already carpet in this room already, so that kind of kills the sound. And the ceiling is low, so there's not a lot of extra space for sound to go up and down a lot, all right? So let me zoom out to kind of show you what the room looks like. So here's a wide shot of the room. You can see I've got my set behind me with my backdrop. That's actually a gray backdrop I found on Amazon, like $40. It's like a 10 by 20 gray backdrop. What was done was we permanently installed curtain rods across the back here to put up backdrops. Behind the gray backdrop, there's actually like a wood pallet backdrop that is also cloth that can be easily took down. As you can see behind me, I've got different lights around me. I've got in my set, I have a couple of lamps that I found pretty cheap at my local Walmart. So the thought of this set was to think about, since this is a course that's featuring myself, I wanted to make the set feel like it's an extension of me. Okay, so I brought in things that mean something to me. Like little trinkets like this little lion back here. And if you can kind of see beside it, there is a fragrance bottle. That was actually one of the first things I started working with in my personal career, was working on fragrance reviews on a YouTube channel. And I've got my computer behind me with just some trinkets. Like I'm kind of a big boy, so I'll do some B-roll and kind of show you the room that I'm working with and some of the lights. So right here up above me on my right side, I've got a very large GVM 180D. It's a very inexpensive light. It's about $120 just by itself with a $40 modifier on it. It's got a $10 blackout curtain right here from Walmart. Again, it's a mainstay. It's a mainstays blackout curtain that works great as a flag, where you're going to be flagging off the light. The extra light's not going to be on the background and showing all over the place to where it's actually going to be washing out the color. It's on it now is what's called a Sentry stand or C-stand. It's basically a big light stand. I found some inexpensive ones for $190 on Amazon. So I've got 6 of them in here now. I've got another GVM 120D beside me, shooting up into a bounce beside me as my kicker light that's just shining a really bright light beside me to pull me out from the background. And above me right here, you can see that light. That's a Neewer 660D flat panel light that is as my hair light. That's a basic 3-point lighting setup. You don't have to go as big as I do. You really don't. Here is an option of what we actually use in the church's studio. We have smaller lights that we set up to podcast and things of that nature here. The lights that are creating color, that is a GVM 800D. Got a 3-pack for like $280 off of Walmart.com. They're really inexpensive beginner RGB lights, and they have effects and stuff like that that you can use as well. That's really cool in different situations, especially when it comes to narrative work as well as and things of that nature. Right here is my shotgun mic that I've connected straight to my camera. That's a FS5 Mark II by Sony, and it's in a newer teleprompter. And what the screen you're seeing that's shooting up into the teleprompter is a Huion Canvas graphics tablet. Everything in the studio here is roughly around $10,000. Now, what I started out with when I talked about in the equipment, I started out with a cell phone. That's all I started out with. And I created lights from Walmart. Again, you can create a basic set in your studio for, I would say, less than $500 easily. Shop your home. Bring in little trinkets that you like, something that means something to you. If you're a pastor and you want to be in your office, set up your phone in selfie style and shoot from that and going into a nice backdrop, maybe a couple of paintings, or if you have bookcases, use your bookcases. Basically, to get started in a church studio or a studio period, it really doesn't cost that much nowadays. Really, it doesn't. Again, you can have a quick setup for less than $500. Okay, so you found your location. Now you need to build your set. Again, I really suggest shop your house, shop your office, shop something that means something to you that you can bring on to the set. Okay, that it's not so important that if it gets lost, it gets lost. And if you want to bring in something like that because it's core to you, you can do that too. It's your set. But when you're thinking about the framing of what you want to show to your viewer, like I'm doing, I am zooming in right now. This is my frame. This is what you've been seeing until now. This is my frame. This is what your viewer is going to see, okay? Now, what do they see? You see 2 lights, like 2 lamps with a lamp shelf with, again, you've got the little lion with the fragrance, a fake plant. On the other side, you've got some more fragrance with a DSLR with a big screen above it, and it's on a brown table. Now, the brown table is something that we had at the church that I was able to use. So again, that was cutting cost. I used what I had. When it comes to DIY set construction, you really need to explore what you have to build your own set. Use your materials that you already have or that can be repurposed. When it comes to lighting, if you have a color scheme for your church, convey that in the lighting behind you. I just have blue and red behind me that creates purple. Purple is one of my favorite colors. And as you can see, there's purple that is encompassing me. All right. So purple is one of my favorite colors. That lion behind me is actually pointed towards me, so it's actually watching me. So it kind of creates a subconscious for the viewer to look at the person in the middle. Again, I'm in the middle of the frame. There is things called the rule of thirds, which we will get into in composition, and that comes in the production module. But right now, we're focusing on building your set, okay? Soundproofing, we talked about a little bit more. Soundproofing is to prevent external noise from entering the studio, and it's also to get rid of echoes and things of that nature, extra sound that's going to bounce off hard surfaces in your space. So again, we've added soft surfaces with moving blankets on the walls, moving blankets on a C-stand that is just hanging up there, and then also in the corner back behind me, beside this lion lamp right here, there's actually 2 blackout curtains that's covering up a moving blanket that's on a C-stand. Now, when it comes to your props and your set, that's really what the props are there is to help tell the story and really build out your characters. In this informational style of video, my props are really just my background. And if I'm talking about this is technically a prop now since I'm actually holding up to the camera. Now, when it comes to lighting, again, get lighting that you can afford. You can just do a 3-point lighting setup, and we'll dive deeper into the production module on lighting. So let's go a bit further into building out your set. Make sure that your area is carpeted. The reason why you want carpet is a soft surface. And carpet really does wonders soaking up sound. And then one of the biggest things that you need to focus on and make sure that you have power outlets. You need to ensure that there are enough electrical outlets to power all of your equipment, and consider having dedicated circuits for high power devices. Okay. Now, again, we've talked about your set design. Your set design is going to focus on this story. If you're on a sermon bumper, what are some of the things that are going to be in the environment of your story? So if you're talking about a family, mom and dad, where do mom and dads live? They live in a house. What is the house going to look like? What is the environment going to look like? You need to also think about the furniture. You need to select furniture that fits the set design and is comfortable for those on camera, and consider the sight lines for the audience. When it comes to this right here, this is called like a medium shot here, where it's literally just my torso and then up right here. There's enough headroom on screen, and there you go. That's a medium shot. There you go. Give you a little tip before we got into production. Color scheme. You need to focus on colors that complement the skin tones and avoid causing glare or reflections on the camera. I showed you earlier with the blackout curtain that I used as a flag on this big light here. That is to also prevent glares that's going to go onto this screen back here that causes distracting glares, okay? And it also prevents it from washing out the colors behind me, all right? Also, I'm pink. I'm peach and pink, so the red will actually bring out the reds in my skin tone. So we've talked about finding your location, finding an area that's quiet, finding an area that has tons of electricity, it's really quiet, and can be easily acoustically treated, meaning putting up sound dampening, okay? You also need to make sure that it's accessible for those that will be using it. When you're setting up your studio, you need to really focus and make sure the floor is clear. If it's just one person like myself, there is some more stuff than usual in the floor, like stand in that nature, but you also need to be concerned with other participants in the studio and making sure that they're able to get around easily in the studio. Safety is key. You also need to develop safety protocols in the studio, including clear pathways for evacuation and proper storage for equipment. All right. So, what are the key takeaways for this lesson? The right location and set can significantly enhance the quality and impact of your church's video production. Paying attention to these details, you can build a functional and professional studio within your church that serves the needs of your ministry and enhances the quality of your video productions. Remember, the goal is to create a space that is both technically sound and aesthetically pleasing, providing an environment where your church's stories can be told effectively and inspirationally. By finding a proper location, the message can be put forth effectively. Granted, this is God's message, and this is God's word, and He will use whatever location you use, and He can use things that confounds the wise. The message is the most important thing. Your message is the most important thing. And these tips and the studio are just, again, they're just tools. The script is just a tool. All of this equipment here they're just tools to help you tell the church's story, tell God's story, and get your message out. The message is the most important part. But again, there needs to be someone that can say the message and tell the message and convey the message. And then that's all in lesson number 5, finding who's going to be on camera. I'll see you then.